And now, Decoder Ring Theatre presents the continuing adventures of Canada's greatest superhero, that scourge of the underworld, hunter of those who prey upon the innocent, that marvelous masked mystery man known only as the Red Panda! The Red Panda, mysterious crusader for justice, hides his true identity of August Fenwick, one of the city's wealthiest men, in his never-ending battle against crime and corruption. Only his wife and partner, Kit Baxter Fenwick, who joins him in his quest in the guise of the Flying Squirrel, knows who wears the mask of the Red Panda! This episode, The Puzzle Master!
It's this door. It has to be. No! Not another dead end.
Oh, too bad, Mr. Byron. Thought you had it this time, didn't you?
You swore there was a way out of this fiendish maze.
I swore that there were two. You chose the more difficult one.
You said this puzzle could be solved. That I could earn my way out without surrendering the formula to you.
I said the puzzle could be solved if you could best the master, Byron. You were fool enough to assume that you could.
Please, it isn't too late. Release me, and I won't press any charges.
Oh, Byron, you have got spirit. Even after 2 days and nights in my maze, still your pleas come wrapped in threats and demands. You're only making this more difficult, you know. Everyone breaks in time.
I can't. I won't.
But you must. Even the hardest stone erodes over time. So little by little I chip away at your resolve. And in the end, you'll give me all that I demand. And more.
Never.
Such bravery. But you must know that it is futile. We have all the time in the world. No one is coming for you. No one knows you are here. If there were any risk that we might be interrupted, I should long ago have grown impatient with your stubbornness and moved on to, other methods of persuasion.
You swore this maze could be beaten.
So I did. And so it can. I put a map right in your hand, Mr. Byron. If only you were clever enough to read it. That cipher would lead you right to the exit, right to freedom. But I'm afraid that you have failed once again. And you know what that means?
No, please.
Every good game has its rules, Mr. Byron. You chose to play this game rather than give me what I wanted. Don't blame me if you aren't having nearly as much fun as I am.
You monster!
Indeed. And you have opened another incorrect door, Mr. Byron. That means it gets a little hotter.
No, please.
And a little brighter. Oh, my. You must be getting terribly thirsty down there, Byron, old boy. You won't hold out much longer. Why don't you give me what I want, and I'll pour you a nice, tall glass of lemonade.
You fiend. You'll see. I'll get out of here.
I'm clearly quaking in my boots, little man. Now why don't you go back to the drawing board and try to decode that cipher? As before, when you open a door, all of the others lock for 2 hours. Gives you a little time to meditate upon the wisdom of giving me what I want.
When I get out of here, when I get my hands on you...
Don't waste your breath, Byron. No man lives that can best the Puzzle Master.
Well, Chief O'Malley, where is he? He isn't at my beck and call, Mr. James. He gets here when he gets here.
Come now. The Red Panda has helped you often enough.
He isn't on the payroll, sir. It isn't generally known that I can contact him at all. I'd like to know what made you so certain of that fact.
It seemed logical. For all your public bluster about he and his partner being outlaws, you haven't called for his arrest in years, much less done anything about it. And there have been rumors.
Oh, yes?
Most of them seem to have originated with captured mobsters, racketeers, or supervillains, so I never put much stock in them. But they all suggested a level of cooperation between the police and our mystery men that couldn't possibly be going on behind your back.
If you were so dubious...
What brought me to your office in the middle of the night? As you might have gathered, O'Malley, I have lately been working rather more directly with some secretive departments of our government. It seems they know rather more about our masked friend than I do.
Well, there's a piece of good news.
The flying squirrel?
Thank goodness our own government has time to spy on little old us.
Well, well, crept in right under our noses. Impressive.
What kept you?
Nice to see you too, Chiefy. Your message didn't mention that you were bringing a friend. You know how much the boss hates surprises.
Almost half as much as I do. But the circumstances made it unavoidable. This is...
I know who this is. Hang on. Flying squirrel to Red Panda. Come in, Red Panda. You were right, boss. The tall guy in the chief's office is Wentworth James, all right, and O'Malley says it's serious. You'd better come on in.
I'm right here.
What in blazes?
You'll get used to it.
How'd you get in here without even me seeing you?
That would be telling. Good evening, Chief O'Malley.
Get your feet off my desk.
Squirrel, if you'd be so kind.
What is that?
One of our little toys.
It detects any sort of electronic signal that might be associated with surveillance.
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
And it finds two.
What?
James is wearing a wire, and there's some kind of directional beam coming from the roof to the north.
Impressive.
If you like that, you'll love this. I'm blocking both signals.
You're really quite paranoid, you know that?
In our business, Sweet Pea, paranoid is another word for still alive.
All right. As much as I was looking forward to an evening of clever banter, can we get down to business? Red Panda, Flying Squirrel, this is Mr. Wentworth James.
Yes, we know. What we're rather more interested in is just what has a supposedly brilliant young inventor and industrialist playing Junior G-Man.
Junior G-Man?
Ignore it. I bought him a dime novel the other day and he picked up some slang. The question still goes.
Doubtless the two of you know something of my work. Indeed, you appear to have a number of fairly clever little devices. You must have an inventor on the payroll somewhere.
We're a fairly small operation.
A mom and pop shop, really.
What you probably don't know is the lengths to which my work has taken me. After the fuel cells for my prototype rocket pack were stolen by the genie...
It was one of a dozen robot genies, actually.
The point remains the same. I realized that I had a hand in creating articles and devices of great power, and that it was time for me to take a more active role in how that power was used.
So you did the only logical thing. You strapped on one of your own rocket packs and loaned yourself out to the government as a freelance adventurer.
How did you know that?
We make it our business to know such things, Mr. James.
Especially when masked loons are spotted in our city.
It isn't a mask, it's a flying helmet.
You say potato. I hear the feds call you Doc Rocket.
I've asked them not to.
Apparently I haven't asked real hard.
Enough of this. Mr. James, you wanted the Red Panda's help badly enough to come down here, and you two couldn't resist a coded message on the police radio band, so you deserve what you get. Can I suggest we put the posturing aside and get down to brass tacks?
It's an interesting point.
What's the rumpus?
2 days ago, an operative in the employ of Mr. James failed to turn up as scheduled. He was making his way from a secret laboratory to one of the company's processing plants here in the city. As far as anyone can tell, he dropped off the face of the earth.
2 days ago?
The matter is one of national security. The agency that I'd been working with was anxious to resolve the matter quickly and quietly. They put a lot of energy into establishing that Raymond Byron hadn't fled the country or sold out to a foreign power. I've known the man for 10 years. I could have told them he'd never have done that.
So they figured out where he wasn't. Did they put any energy into figuring out where he was?
They did, and I did. Without success.
I assume that Byron was acting as courier for some sensitive information?
He was.
That's not very revealing.
It's all I was able to get out of him either.
The agency wasn't eager to turn to you two for help. They consider you loose cannons.
They're right.
Ray Byron is a friend of mine. I know his family. If there was a chance that he was still alive, I had to take the risk. But they imposed certain conditions.
That we were to operate entirely in the dark like good soldiers. We don't really do that.
Hence loose cannons.
That explains the eavesdropping. They wanted to make sure James stayed on the reservation.
Something like that.
But since we've jammed their signals, they have no way of knowing that you're not being a good little boy. So make with the skinny before I get bored and go catch purse snatchers.
What was Byron carrying?
Why, not a thing.
There's no time for games. A man's life may be at stake.
I mean it quite sincerely. Ray had a particular gift. He could carry vast amounts of information in his memory, learn fantastic amounts of data by rote, as you or I might remember a shopping list, but flawlessly. It made for extra security. In fact, it was the most complete we could have asked for. There were no papers to steal, nothing that marked him as a courier of any kind. He's not a scientist. No one could expect him to be able to relate sensitive data from the top of his head. It was flawless.
If it were flawless, there wouldn't be an except or until coming up.
Since he was on his way from a lab to a processing plant, we can assume that Byron was carrying a finished formula of some kind?
Yes. For a new, lightweight, bulletproof alloy that James Laboratories has been developing on government contract.
There are military applications?
I had thought of national defense when the project was launched, though it is easy to see that, in the wrong hands, it could easily be turned against us. At the moment, my greatest concern is getting my operative back in one piece, if possible.
And where are we with that?
My force was finally approached 12 hours ago. We haven't been able to establish much. If there's any sort of underworld connection, none of the usual stool pigeons know anything about it.
I told you, O'Malley, this isn't a regular kidnapping. They won't ransom Byron. They'll extract what he knows and kill him. These are agents of a foreign power.
Perhaps.
What do you mean?
The fact that your government friends were unaware of a security concern might mean that we're dealing with a player from a different board.
An independent?
Yes. That could work in our favor.
Are you basing that on anything other than sunny optimism?
Possibly. We'll have to follow up a few leads before we could say for certain. We'll be in touch.
I'm coming with you.
You're really not.
It's the only way to keep hordes of feds from tailing you everywhere you go.
How do you think they'd keep up with us? Come to think of it, how do you think you'll keep up with us?
With this!
Great Caesar's ghost! What is that supposed to be?
The latest version of the James rocket pack, I presume. And this would be the, flying helmet?
Red Panda, meet Doc Rocket!
Howard Downs.
Who's there?
Be calm, Mr. Downs. You have nothing to fear from the Red Panda.
The Red Panda? No. Go away. Leave me alone.
What you ask is impossible, Mr. Downs. I need your help.
Me? What help could I possibly offer you?
You work in the Secret Research Division at Fenwick Industries.
I did. I'm on medical leave. I haven't been well.
I know that, Downs. I know that a month ago you disappeared for 5 days. Your family, friends, colleagues, no one knew where you had gone.
Yes.
There was concern that you had met with foul play, given the amount of sensitive information you had access to.
Those fears were natural, but misplaced. I suffered a breakdown is all. The pressure of my work, it was too much.
That is what you told people. But it isn't true, is it, Howard Downs?
Please, you have to go.
Your condition is not a result of the pressure of your work, but of what happened to you during those 5 days, isn't it, Downs?
No. Please, leave me alone.
You were kidnapped, held prisoner, and forced to divulge your work, isn't that so?
No. I was cleared of any wrongdoing. The company, the government, they investigated.
Yes.
Mr. Fenwick himself, he ordered that I be given paid leave. A chance to heal my nerves.
I'm sure he did. Given your long and exemplary service, I imagine he was also acting on the assumption that you would never turn traitor.
I'm no traitor. You don't understand.
Or that you would never try and shield those who had held you against your will. Which is it, Howard Downs?
Please, it's more than I can bear.
If you know something of my power, Downs, you must know that I can pull what I need from your mind, willingly or no.
Please,
I offer you the chance to comply freely because I believe you have been wronged in this, and because in your condition there is risk of further damage.
Please, I don't deserve this.
I believe you, Downs. I believe that by some torment you were broken, forced to betray your country's interests, and that the fear of your tormentor and the shame of your defeat keeps you silent.
Please. He's a madman.
Another man's life may be at stake, Howard Downs.
Another man?
You didn't think it would stop, did you? That the trap that was laid for you would not be used on others? That the trade in secrets and in lives would end with you and you alone?
I didn't think.
Whoever did this to you will continue to strike at others until he is stopped, Downs. I offer you the chance to strike back at your tormentor. I offer you the chance to redeem your honor and put fear behind you. But you must choose it of your own free will.
Yes. Yes. I will help you. I will.
Good.
But I don't know how I can. I can't even focus on what happened. I can't think of it without... Excuse me. I must sit down.
You must be strong, Downs.
If I were stronger, if I were smarter, I could have defeated him. I could have escaped.
Smarter?
I failed. Failed utterly.
Howard Downs, you are a brilliant research scientist. Are you telling me that this fiend is truly...
He put the tools right into my hand. It was like a game to him.
A game?
I tried, and I tried. But there was no way to best him. No way to escape the maze of... the Puzzle Master.
You are listening to the Red Panda Adventures from Decoder Ring Theater. Your address for adventure, mystery, and comedy.
Squirrel! Flying squirrel! Where are you?
Over here, Rocket Boy. And keep your voice down.
There's no reason.
If there's no other reason, let the last one be, because if you don't, I'll clean your clock. Tin helmet or no.
Roger that. I appreciate your preparedness, and it's admirable.
My preparedness and I are thrilled with your approval. Get down, would you? You keep standing around like a bowling trophy, you'll find yourself very dead one of these days. And that's just when the boss sees you.
I'm trying to tell you, there's no reason for this. We're obviously chasing our tails on this one.
Is that a fact?
I've covered the entire area on a 10-mile radius looking for any sign of a facility large enough to fit Howard Downs' description. There's nothing. We're in the middle of nowhere. Where is the Red Panda?
I know you're a little green at this, Flyboy. But just because it's faster doesn't make zipping overhead with a rocket pack the best way to investigate much of anything. Or the most subtle.
The rocket has a stealth mode?
Yeah, I noticed that. It's surprisingly quiet.
Thank you.
Remind me to explain the difference between surprisingly quiet and actually quiet.
I'm telling you, we're wasting our time here. It was a good bet that the missing scientist from Fenwick Industries was linked to Ray Byron's disappearance somehow, but if there's any truth to the wild story Downs concocted, he's obviously got the location wrong.
I beg to differ.
Where the devil?
And that, my friend, is actually quiet.
Hold your applause until the end, please.
Red Panda, I appreciate that you've been at this for a long time, but you've made a mistake in trusting this Howard Downs. His memory must have been warped by trauma.
It was indeed. I recovered the information we have with hypnosis, with his consent.
But the story is just too wild. That his resolve was broken with days of imprisonment in a giant maze? By a madman calling himself the Puzzle Master? It's too fantastic.
I was thinking it was too mundane.
Just another day at the office?
Yes and no. This Puzzle Master seems to follow the pattern of other foes we've faced. In this case, driven by a compulsion for games.
Wouldn't be the weirdest thing we've seen.
No, it wouldn't. And compulsive madmen like the poet certainly do make the papers. But what's the one thing the poet can't do?
Write prose?
I've heard of this case. He can't commit crimes without leaving rhymed clues behind.
Right. And if you were a genuine supervillain, compelled by madness to create elaborate puzzles to torment your victims, what's the one thing you couldn't do?
I don't understand.
Cheat! You couldn't cheat. Not if the game is everything.
Right first try. But the cipher that Downs related under hypnosis was childishly simple and offered only one solution, which was completely at odds with the physical reality of the maze he recalled.
Which means his memory was flawed, just as I said.
Is that what you said? I wasn't really listening.
I'm telling you, the maze described by Downs was immense. It would require a huge facility to house it. There's nothing around here for miles but trees and open fields.
Boss?
It is a puzzle, isn't it?
There's nothing at all but one small building with a large shed about 2 miles north.
What?
Flyboy, remind me to explain the difference between nothing and nothing but the bad guy's secret lair.
If this is a joke, I'm not laughing.
I'm telling you, it was right here. A long one-story building like a small local hall or hunting lodge with a tin-roofed shed or garage right beside it.
Well, it's not here now, and there's no sign that it ever was. That rocket of yours isn't exactly silent, but if they were going to take it on the lam, they wouldn't take the building with them.
I don't understand. The directional equipment built into my suit is perfect. It has to be if I'm to fly at the speeds this rocket pack is capable of. I'm telling you, the open space behind these trees is the precise location of the building that I saw.
Boss?
Assume that he's right about his equipment. There are 2 possibilities.
Okay. There never was a building. Someone made it look like there was from the air.
Right. Any particularly compelling reason why they should do that?
None and none, so that ain't it.
What are you 2 playing at?
Is he bothering you yet?
Yes. The other possibility?
The building is still there.
Right.
That's absurd. There's nothing there but an open field.
Listen.
To what?
Hush!
What?
Hear that? Under the crickets, that hum. It's a motor. Like a generator.
Of course. He would need a great deal of electrical power.
Who would? For what? Red Panda, listen to me. The maze Howard Downs mapped out for you, it was hundreds of yards long. The building I saw could never house it.
You think there's an underground complex?
I really don't. Come on, let's find that generator shed.
Wait. Over there. It's a man. On the ground.
Where'd he come from?
It's Ray. Ray!
Flyboy, get back here!
Quickly, Squirrel, before he gets himself killed!
Ray! It's Went! Ray!
Get down!
Good morning.
What happened?
You fell for the oldest trick in the book is all.
Where is he?
The boss? He's taking a peek around, or trying to.
We're in the maze.
You catch on quick for a guy that's just absorbed a whackload of volts.
Yes, you should really consider some heavier insulation for electrical attacks. We've been awake for some time now. I could recommend a lightweight alternative if you'd like.
You girls can swap recipes later. Any luck?
Someone doesn't want us getting more than a few feet apart. Every time I wander away, the walls keep shifting to keep me within 30 paces or so.
What? That's impossible.
Mr. James, if you are to continue to play hero, you had better come to grips with the fact that almost nothing is impossible, and stop assuming yourself to be the smartest fellow in the room everywhere you go. This puzzle master is quite brilliant.
Well, the admiration of the great Red Panda.
Boss!
I hear him.
Truly a prize to be savored, but hardly the most valuable that I've won today. I had thought to content myself with the fortune that my foreign clients will pay for the James alloy, and instead I have Wentworth James himself, together with a working model of his famous rocket pack, and all the secrets that he will divulge within the labyrinth of the Puzzle Master.
Never! I'll die first!
Don't make helpful suggestions, Flyboy.
Where is Ray Byron?
Your messenger is safe in my care, James. How long he remains so is entirely up to you. I have suspended his time in the maze in favor of the greater prize. But he remains at my mercy.
You sinister fiend!
And I have not forgotten your masked friends, the Red Panda and the Flying Squirrel. This is a worthy puzzle indeed. Shall I break you for your secrets as I have the others, or might I fetch a higher price for you intact?
What?
That settles it. I know who you're working for. Not many nations would underwrite an operation like this, and only one that I'm aware of has a chief scientific advisor that wants us dead and would pay to do it himself.
Very clever.
Von Schlitz! He's working for the Nazis!
Indeed. They have the money and the ambition that I require in a benefactor, if I am to finance my little games.
You can drop the supervillain routine, Peaches. You may be a traitor, a spy, and a dirty Nazi lover, but you don't have that very special brand of crazy that you're trying to peddle.
What are you saying?
Puzzle Master? This whole maze is a cheat!
You play upon the fears that ordinary citizens have of the extreme cases of villainy that they read about in the newspapers. Use those fears to reinforce your own pedestrian methods.
What are you saying?
Fear, sleep deprivation, exposure to light and heat, thirst and hunger, and giving your victims a nonsense cipher that will make them believe that they themselves have failed to escape, that there is no hope.
There is no hope! For them or you!
All rather typical interrogation techniques. Your technical work may be brilliant, Puzzle Master, but your tortures are clumsy and brutish.
And you are in a perfect position to learn just how exactly right you are.
He's got us there. If we can't escape from this maze, he just might get what he's after.
Not likely.
How can you say that?
Because there is no maze. Watch.
Boss? Boss!
How did he do that? He just walked straight through the wall.
No! What are you doing? It's impossible!
Boss!
Squirrel! What in blazes is going on?
There is no maze. There is no maze.
Where are you going?
If he did it, I can.
Squirrel! Squirrel! How did you do that? Where did you two go? Don't leave me in here! Great Caesar's ghost. The maze. It's fading away into nothingness. How?
I told you it was a cheat, Flyboy.
And a brilliant one. The maze was nothing more than a projection of light, a deliberately cast illusion maintained by these projector arrays and powered by those generators we heard outside. That is why such an endless maze could be housed in a relatively small space. Only a few feet of it had to exist at any given time.
That must be how the Puzzle Master hid his hideout from us.
That's right, Squirrel. When he heard Duck rocket overhead, he turned his holographic projectors to the outside to hide the complex. When we didn't go away, he projected an image of Raymond Byron as bait for his trap.
And I fell for it.
Don't feel too badly. The illusion was reinforced by this.
Some sort of empathic projector. This targeted the mind of whomever was in the maze?
Yes. I've heard of such things, sometimes referred to as hypno-beams. They render the conscious mind susceptible to suggestion, make the walls feel solid for one thing. They target the centers of the brain generally associated with hypnosis.
And since you're a master hypnotist, and you've given me immunity to that kind of attack...
We were able to walk right through the walls and take care of this Puzzle Master.
What do we do with him?
I have a few government contacts. I imagine that you should also contact the agency you've been heroing on behalf of. He should stand trial for treason, though not before we learn just how many secrets he's sold and to whom. It won't be very pleasant for him.
Too bad he couldn't have used his gizmos to help people, right, boss?
Do I detect a segue?
I think she's talking about me, but it could be you. We're not that different, you know.
Except that I know what I'm doing, have the sense to keep my identity secret, and don't take orders from anyone.
How long do you think that can last? If you talked to the agency...
You two have played nice all day. Don't start now.
She's right.
She usually is. Well, James, I think you'll most likely get yourself killed, but if you insist on strapping a rocket on your back and fighting injustice, who am I to argue?
Thanks, I think.
Just stay out of my city.
What?
You heard me. No hero work in Toronto, or else.
I don't think...
Don't take it so hard, Flyboy. You just got yourself the keep out of Dodge speech.
What does that mean?
It means, Doc Rocket, that you're a real, actual superhero at last!
And so concludes another adventure of the Red Panda! This recording and the story, characters, and situations contained therein are the exclusive property of their creator and copyright holder, Greg Taylor, and are produced and distributed by Decoder Ring Theatre through arrangement with him. These recordings may not be rebroadcast or redistributed by any means for any reason without express permission. Until next time, when Decoder Ring Theatre brings you the further thrilling adventures of Canada's greatest superhero, this is Stephen Burley reminding you DecoderRingTheatre.com is your address to adventure!
The Red Panda Adventures, Episode 51, The Puzzle Master, was written and directed by Greg Taylor with original music by Andrea Lyons and featured the vocal talents of Joel Boostma, Chris Cuthill, Stephen Burley, Christopher Mott, Kevin Robinson, Clarissa Landon, and Greg Taylor. Until next time, for all of us here, good night.